So the theme of this presentation is the resilience of the Israeli high-tech market and some status of investments. So I'll just start with a very brief introduction for those of you who have not met me before. So my name is Gilad Majerowicz. I'm the chairman of the Israel-Japan Chamber of Commerce. I'm also an attorney, a bengoshi, for over 25 years. Some years were in New York, more than 7 years, and the rest in Israel. I'm focusing in my professional life on technology transactions. And at my firm, Herzog, Fox & Niemann, which is one of the largest law firms in Israel, I'm head of the Japan desk. So I'm involved in Japan-Israel matters from different angles, both as the chairman of the IJCC and also as a practitioner. I've been helping many Japanese clients in their investments in the in Israeli startups, acquisitions, setting up offices in Israel, commercial agreements. I was fortunate to work with Tanaka-san in many transactions throughout the years and even now. And I'm very happy to be here today. So we all know that Israel has gone a real disaster on October 7th. This presentation will focus on the economical aspects and mostly on the business continuity. However, I cannot start this presentation on this angle without showing you what happened soon after October 7th. So I think that the first 2 weeks in Israel, everyone in Israel was in a state of shock. Everything was closed. Schools were closed. Coffee shops were closed. Malls were closed. And it took about 2-3 weeks to understand what's going on. We were very fortunate to have the support of the Japanese government. Here you can see a picture that was taken in Israel. Japan's foreign minister Kamikawa-san.
Gilad, we don't see the slides flipping. We're still in the first title page, Resilience of Israel High-Tech.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
okay.
Maybe you start over after we see how you flip the pages. Okay, now it flipped to your page.
Now you see the second one?
About the speaker, yeah.
Okay. So this is the first day. I will not repeat it because you heard that. So I will continue. Here again, these are pictures that were taken in different places in Israel soon after the October 7th tragedy, the attack in the south. The country was in a state of shock. Schools were closed, malls were closed, coffee and restaurants were closed. Everybody was sitting in their homes, wondering what's going on. This took about 2 to 3 weeks. And then we were fortunate to receive the Honorable Japanese Foreign Minister Kamikawa-san, who came to Israel here. This is a picture where she met Israel's president, Isaac Herzog, and showed support. And we're very much appreciative of Japan's position, where Japan condemned the terror attack and showed its support to the Israeli people. So these were the first 3 very tough weeks. Now, almost 3.5 months later, let's see what's going on in Israel. And I think pictures gives the best information. So as you can see, now in Tel Aviv, within the country, everything is open. The country is almost as usual. Business is almost as usual. Of course, there are still significant security conflicts in the south, in Gaza, and in the north border. But within the country is functioning. You see coffee shops are full, restaurants are full, streets are crowded, and you see the traffic jams. This is something that we haven't seen in the beginning, but now, you know, I live in Tel Aviv, one of the neighborhoods in the north of Tel Aviv. In the evening or early in the morning, like today, it takes me maybe 10 minutes to get to work. But in normal days, I can have a 1-hour trip just to get to the office. So this is what we have now, which is in some senses, it's a good sign because it shows that from an economical perspective, life goes on. People are going back to their office, working from the office. You see, I'm also in the office. And everyone, other than those who are in a reserve service, everyone are back to work. So as I mentioned, the market is fully functioning. About 10% on average of the labor force, people in their late 20s, 30s, and in some cases early 40s, are still in the military reserve duty. Even in our office, in the beginning, it was more than 15% of the labor force was in reserve, military reserve service. Now, probably less than 10%. Many people were released back to their homes. And those who are not serving the country simply work harder to cover for those who are doing their duty. So the bottom line is that the market is functioning. The Israeli high-tech industry is functioning. It's active. There are lots of M&A deals and investments. I'll get to that in a moment. And the slogan, as you can see here, is that we deliver no matter what. This is the Israeli resilience. Unfortunately, Israel is a country that suffered lots of challenges from its establishment almost 76 years ago. There were several wars, security conflicts, but the people and the Jewish nation, people are very resilient. And we know how to deal with those situations. And in the Israeli startup world, which is facing the world, the focus is on global activity, the high-tech delivers, and there are no delays. Here you can see some excerpts from the news. Every day we hear about investments, literally every day. I can tell you that in my office, the high-tech and M&A teams are very busy, at least for 4 or 5 weeks. Transactions, acquisitions, you can see here all kinds of headlines. Some Israeli companies are receiving significant valuations. There were a few cyber acquisitions of a few $100 million. Rumor about another company who will be sold for around $2 billion. So the situation is still in relatively good shape, and we're very much hopeful that that will continue. So some words about the Japanese involvement in the Israeli high-tech. Let's start with some data, historic data, and then I will go to the current situation in Israel as I see it from both my positions. So this is a representative graph of the Japanese investments and acquisitions of Israeli companies. As you could see, between 2001 and 2008, the activity was very low. 2008, there was one specific transaction that made the graph go up, but still the changes started in 2013. This is the wave of activity that you may heard of before. It started with visits of Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu in 2013. Then late Prime Minister Abe came to Israel in 2015, and then 2 years later, lots of ministers, Keidan Ren delegation, Keizai Duyukai delegations, all of that resulted eventually in significant investments in the Israeli high-tech world. And kind of surprisingly, 2021, which was a Corona year, the level of investments in the Israeli high-tech was almost $3 billion, which constituted at the time about 16% of all foreign investments into Israel. We see that 22 and 23, the first half, the numbers were lower, but we all know that there is a global downturn, and anywhere in the world, the numbers are lower. So 2023, we don't have data yet for the entire year. but we do have data for the first half, which I think is an interesting data. I can tell you that from unofficial data, the second half of 2023 was stronger in terms of dollar amounts from the first half. With respect to Japan, still, the relative share of Japanese investments in all foreign investment in Israel was almost 17%, 16.8, and specifically in the high-tech sector, almost 13%, 12.9. This is based on the research company Harel Hertz, which issues every year data. They focus specifically on the Japan-Israel market. Interestingly, in the first half, we can see that about 50% of the investments were first investments, new players, new Japanese companies who are not involved in the Israeli market and stepped into this Japan-Israel ecosystem. And about 15% of the investments were strategic by industrial companies. So not only financial, also 50% of strategic investments. With financial, we have a few Japanese VC funds who are based in Israel, like the Magenta fund, who is a collaboration of Mitsui, Koito, and other LPs, like the Sumitomo IN VC fund, who is a Sumitomo-based fund focusing only on the Israeli market. Other funds like Aristagora, funds like SBI, who has a presence in Israel and allocated a lot of money to invest in the Israeli ecosystem, and other Japanese funds and CVCs who are not based in Israel, but who made financial investments in the Israeli market. This is another graph with more colors that shows the breakdown of investments by sectors. This is true for the first half of 2023. I think that if we look at the entire year, the changes will not be that dramatic. You see, by the way, this is there is also a comparison compared to other years, 21 till 2020, 2015, and then the batch of 2016 to 2019, the Corona years, 2020 to 2022, and the first half. So you see that there are changes in trends. Cyber is still one of the most active areas as of 2016. It was still active in 2016. We see that the first half of 2023 was characterized with a lot of funds and investments into funds or VC-related transactions, but we also see areas like life science, 9%, IT, 6%, fintech and crypto, 12%, automotive, 12%, and industry 4.0, industrial technologies, 9%. In the second half, we've seen some activity around food tech and agriculture tech. So I think the colors will change a bit when we see the entire picture for 2023. So we see that the numbers are impressive, and this slide basically deals with the question why we see so many Japan-Israel collaborations. So I think the main reason is that first and most, there is a technological need in Japan. This is something that I don't need to explain to you. Unfortunately, still the Japanese innovation ecosystem is lagging behind compared to other countries in Asia and maybe other countries around the world. I know that now there are many initiatives, and the Jiip initiative, of course, is trying to deal exactly with that. All kinds of initiatives to raise the activity, the high-tech activity within Japan, to create all kinds of innovation, open innovation circles, but still there's a lot of work. Israel is one of the major technological hubs of the world and is a very interesting place for all kinds of open innovation initiatives. There are many advanced technologies which are developed in Israel, and this is the main reasons for the interest of Japanese companies in the Israeli market. From the Israeli perspective, Israeli companies are looking for collaboration in Asia. Asia is a huge market for Israeli companies who traditionally were focused on the US and European markets. Japan obviously is a major and lucrative destination in Asia and a great hub and gateway for Israeli companies who are looking to expand to Asia. And of course, Japan as a market itself is very lucrative for Israeli companies. Israeli companies understand the value of working with Japanese conglomerates. I think after more than 7 years of extensive activity, Israelis are looking and sometimes actively seeking for collaborations in Japan. I get inquiries from Israeli companies.
右下の右下、大きくするやつ。小さいのの右下。
I get inquiries from Israeli companies about opportunities in Japan almost on a weekly basis. And I think maybe one of the reasons for that is that Israelis really love Japan. Israelis appreciate and are thrilled with the Japanese culture. Israelis love to visit Japan. And this is one of the reasons that we now have a direct flight between Israel and Japan. There are interesting opportunities for Japanese investors in 2024. First, it's still like 2023, it's a market of investors, meaning that for Japanese companies, they will, I'll tell you that in a secret, like a secret, but you'll get better terms these days if you negotiate with Israeli startups, because this is the market condition. Israeli companies have now lower valuations. You get more value for the money, definitely compared to 2022 and 2021, which were peak years. One of the reasons that we see much more activity in the M&A world these days in Israel is that there are some fantastic companies whose valuations went down. And so that creates interesting opportunities for M&A deals. The market is slower because of the global economic issues and also the situation in Israel. So therefore, from your perspective, it means that there will be more attention to kind of slower pace players that need a longer decision-making processes, which is something which is relevant for Japanese companies. There's also more attention for strategic deals. Israelis are not looking just for the money. The Israeli startups are looking for the strategic investors, those who will bring them value. And we have good data of strategic deals between Japan and Israel, which makes it even more interesting for Israeli companies to collaborate with Japanese conglomerates. Some additional factors. So again, from March 6th, there was a break, but as of March 6th, El Al is resuming direct flights between Tokyo and Tel Aviv. They stated that that will increase to 4 times a week, which is really, really great. I've done it in July when I was in Tokyo last time. It's really convenient, 11 hours, one leg, 12 hours, the other leg, like to fly to New York. So it's very convenient. Also, Israel and Japan are working towards an economic partnership agreement, EPA or FTA, free trade agreement. Once this happens, I think the level of trade between Japan and Israel will increase significantly. And regional developments, the Abraham Accords that were signed 3 years ago and shows fantastic results from an economic perspective. Hopefully, there are some rumors that there is a deal being discussed between Israel and Saudi Arabia. Actually, there were some rumors that it was very close to signing, but the October 7th attack basically stopped maybe it was not so coincidence, it stopped the negotiation, but still it's on the table. There's a lot of pressure by the US administration to move towards a regional peace treaties. peace treaty, and hopefully that will, if that happens, that will create a significant wave of additional economic activities. This is my last slide, basically, Japanese investments in Israel. So what's happening now? January. So thankfully, and I see that the Japan-Israel investment world is pretty active. At the firm, it's written here, 6 investments are currently handled, but we're just accepted another one. So we're now handling only in this firm, my firm, 7 investments for Japanese investors, which is really great. Not big one, small investments with due diligence, but this is really nice. I'm very happy with that. We also see some commercial activity and discussions about strategic collaborations. So I'm very optimistic about that. I think this week, some of you know, there is an Israeli delegation that came to Japan for the Automotive World Conference, and I think there are plans to bring other delegation to Japan. The hot areas that I see, at least in the past few weeks, automotive, obviously, food tech is becoming a very interesting area for Japan-Israel collaborations, all kinds of meat substitutes and other technologies. Climate tech, we've seen several collaborations in this area in the past few weeks. Cyber, still very strong. Agriculture technology, we've seen in the past 6 months some interesting activity between Japanese companies and Israeli companies. And generally, I think we've seen several deals. My firm handled at least 6 deals in this space in the past 2 years. Medical and healthcare are still very strong areas. So this is my relatively short observation. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to address them now or later on, as you decide. In the meantime, I would like to thank you for for listening to my presentation. Arigatou gozaimashita.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, there's been some technical problems or those kind of things, but still. In summary, numbers are still great. Activities are going on, right? And then yes. This is Masa. I'd like to ask 3 questions. It's a kind of a overall investment from other countries, except of Japan. It's kind of how are they working now? And the second is Japan and beyond the reality, they may share concerns or spirits. More kind of aggression or whatever. And the third one is long-term changes or influences of the war. Those 3 questions.
Okay, so I will start with the first. So regarding investors from other jurisdictions. So first and mostly, I think most of the activity that we are seeing now is attributed to American investors, whether corporations, funds, VC funds, CVC, or private equity funds, and also Israeli funds who are investing. These are the 2 main. If I had a graph here, I would show that most of the investments are coming from these types of investors. As I mentioned, there's some activity between Japan and Israel. Those investments that I mentioned, there are a few others. This is really encouraging. The numbers that I see now are relatively small, anywhere between $1 million to $3-4 million. Nevertheless, these are strategic investments, meaning that the investors are focusing on the collaboration. We do a due diligence for our clients because they really want to know what is the status, the condition of those target companies. In terms of areas, it's really spread in different areas. One, for instance, one is in the industrial area. Another one is in the energy tech area. One is internet related. One is semiconductors. So I cannot say that I see any specific trend. It's based on strategic needs of those clients. I can tell you, however, that the breakdown of at least, let's say, 6 investments that I mentioned. So one is a follow-on. Basically, the investor is continuing to invest in a company they already invested a lot of money in. Meaning that they show confidence in the company and in the economy. 2 deals started before October 7th. However, the October 7th events did not stop the Japanese investors from their investment. There were some delays in the process. They wanted to know what's going on. But after 2-3 weeks, they decided to continue. I can tell you that at least in one case, Tanaka-san knows this deal. The CEO of the target company is an officer in the reserve service, and he was in a reserve service throughout the time of our due diligence. The Japanese client knew that. Nevertheless, they were able to conduct conference calls. When he had time, he do this conference call when he is wearing uniform, and he didn't stop from managing the company remotely, and so it worked. And 3 other deals just started recently, while we are already within the rolling security situation in Israel. The investors know about the situation in Israel, but they found that the risk that they have is probably not justifying to stop their plans. So that is very encouraging, and I think that they are correct in the sense that the market is moving forward. There is a huge focus on business continuity, and we're functioning almost as normal as possible. And the third question, I just don't remember, Ogawa-san, if you can repeat it.
The question is a kind of a little bit longer term influences from the war. Are you feeling something, or this is unknown, or this is as normal? Or?
Well, it's of course it's very difficult to predict what the future will bring.
Currently, are you feeling anything, or you have not? In the reality, it's kind of, are you feeling anything or not yet? Is a kind of a more precise question.
Well, I think I have two universes which are moving in parallel. The one universe is one universe is you see, I'm at work. I'm presenting to you. I have lots of I have a conference call with a client from Japan at 5:30 p.m. Japan time, and I have deals that I'm working on, and everybody here at the firm is very busy. And I know that this is true in other places. So my day-to-day is normal, completely normal.
I see.
The other universe is that, I have, there are soldiers, families with soldiers. I have friends whose son or daughters are in the army, and nobody likes that. And we are all concerned that they will come home safe. And we are concerned from the security situation. There are more than 250,000 Israelis who are forced to, who are evacuated from their homes. In the north and in the south, there are 130 plus Israeli hostages who are still captured in Gaza. So I cannot ignore that. So we have two parallel worlds. The business world is focusing on the day-to-day life, and we also have the other reality. But the other reality is not affecting the business. This is something which is very important to emphasize. The business continues.
It's impressive. You are kind of keeping it to multiple things. It's kind of a parallel universes simultaneously. This is one of the sources of my, how to say, a heart with Israel. It's kind of it's impressive to keep running the country, keep actually creating the country and the society, those kind of things, which I really would like to learn as well as implant it.